Thanks, Fred. We were just talking a little bit on the side, and he started talking about where we started working when I first started at TxDOT and all that. And after a while, I go, I don't want to talk about this anymore. You're all making me feel old. So we just want to talk to you all a little bit about some of the projects that TxDOT is currently working on, and what we are also planning on doing in the future, also upcoming in some of the things that we try to do. So very quickly, back, if some of y'all, and nowadays is election day here, so if y'all remember, think back several years, starting 2015, there was a TV commercial that shows that the governor Abbott was riding in a wheelchair. And what he was doing is he was riding on a wheelchair, and he was right next to a lot of cars and vehicles right next to him. And he was able to go on a wheelchair faster than some of the vehicles that was driving, sitting there, stuck in traffic right next to him. So after he became elected for governor, he tasked the TxDOT Transportation Commission into coming out a program on how to solve the congestion problems that we have here in Texas. So that's the start of the Texas Clearlane project that we are currently doing in Houston. And what the Texas Clearlane project is, what we're looking at, Texas A&M, TTI, actually have come up with the top 100 most congested roadways in the state of Texas every year. They have a list of the top most congested highway, most of them are highway, here in the state of Texas. And every year they updated that list. So in Houston, the 610, 59 interchange over there in the Galleria, traditionally is the number one or number two. The second one that is competing with Houston Galleria area is I-35 over there in downtown area in Austin. So me and Tucker, which is the district engineer in Austin, we don't really want to be number one on this category, but we're consistently being number one or number two. Last year they were number one, this year we were number one. So next slide, please. Another slide, please. So why is the area being so congested? So if you look at some of the, I have on the slides over there are 3 tables, which have 3 major elements that we look at and consider. The first one, you look at the number of hours of traffic delay. If people are driving, those vehicles are stuck in traffic over there. So the annual hours of delay per commuter in the Houston area is 49. In Dallas-Fort Worth, it's about 40, and Austin's 41, and so on and so forth. The second indicator that we look at is the freight tonnage that is coming to our region over here. So there's a 93% increase in freight traffic in this region. In Houston, in Dallas, there's about 113% increase. And so why did the freight traffic increase? The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is there's approximately 1,000 people that move into the state of Texas every single day. If you look at some of the demographers look at it, they're saying that there's 1,000 people come into the state of Texas every single day. So some of this freight traffic is actually bringing the goods and services and everything to the region to service, like in Houston, we have about 4 million people living here right now, and it's proposed to increase up to about 7 or 8 million people in the next 20, 30 years. So these people living here need a lot of clothes, a lot of grocery, a lot of cars, a lot of different things that they need every day, a lot of toys to kids. So a lot of this freight traffic are used to transport this vehicle back and forth. The third indicator that we look at is the number of employment percentage growth in employment in the region. So in Houston, there's about 96% growth in employment, and similar with the other metropolitan district. So that's why we have the congestion problem in all these metropolitan districts. Next slide, please. So what did Houston region do? The Texas Transportation Commissions, they tasked TxDOT into coming up with a plan we call Texas Clear Lane. And all the Metropolitan District, which is Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, we are all in Austin, that we all come up with different projects that we think we can do improvement to this roadway to improve the congestion. So these projects are done on roadways that are on the top 100 list of most congested roadway in Houston. So some of them, the number 2 on the list in there, you can see from the map, is 610, 59 in the Galleria area. What we're doing over there, we're redoing a lot of the connectors. We're making them, some of them, from 1 lane to 2 lanes. We are also reducing the merge, or getting rid of a lot of the merging distance, building ramps that takes you dedicated to 59 North or 59 South. Right now, when you come up from the Galleria, you have to weave across 2 or 3 lanes before you can get over to 59 North and 59 South. So that project will eliminate some of that, will give you, once you get on, you take this connector and it will take you directly to 59 South or 59 North. So that's some of the work that's going on over there. We've got a series of projects on 45 South that we're building, which is an evacuation lane, and also every summer you have a lot of people wanting to go to Galveston, go to the beaches and stuff like that, and also the normal traffic on the Gulf Freeway over there. So we're doing some improvement from Beltway all the way down to the city of Galveston. We also have some of the projects, the blue projects over there are the projects that is funded and we're trying to build, but they're not under construction yet. So one of the projects is State Highway 35 over there. Years ago, we built a stop out on U of H over there, State Highway 35. And we are trying to build a kind of an alternate route to 45 South, so that the people from the Alvin area, from the southeast region, can take this new roadway and get into downtown. So it can also serve as an alternate evacuation route to 45 South when we do have a hurricane and some of that's happening. Next slide, please. This next slide actually shows a bunch of projects that we're in the planning stage. So none of these projects are currently funded. Okay, some of the projects, one of them that work with my friend here in Metro very closely is what we call the I-10 Indicated Connector that goes from 610 to downtown. So we're working very closely with Metro to try and progress their bus lane project as well as our management project over there in that corridor. So there are also pieces of the projects on the 45. There are pieces of project on 610, also in the Galleria area. Even though we just did the interchange project, there's still improvement we can do in the number 1 most congested area in the state of Texas. So some of those projects was in the planning. Next slide, please. So what are we planning for the future? So TxDOT currently is looking for a plan, what we call the REAL plan. The REAL plan, it means Regional Express Access Lane is what it stands for. So what the long-term vision for TxDOT is, we can build these managed lane that ties into all our major freeway systems. And we can connect these freeway systems with what we call transportation hubs. And in the transportation hubs, if people want to change the different modes of transportation, if they want to, we're thinking about multimodal because we know the region needs everything for us to help ease this congestion. It's not just roadway, it takes everything for us to be able to do that. So in this hub, it can be a connection with the bus transit center. It can be the Uber Lyft can stop over there and pick up passengers. If they drive in, they come to a certain area. It could also have the electrical bicycle, whatever that you can rent and take it to the surrounding area if there's a trail. One good example is like in the Northwest Transit Center. If you're on the west in Katy, you want to drive or take a bus in to the Northwest Transit Center. You can pick, if you want to go to Memorial Park for the afternoon, you can hop on, take a bus, or take a bike, go to Memorial Park, or go to the Galleria. You can hop on the Silver Line and go to the Galleria, do your shopping, go back to the transit center and take your train, bus, car, whatever goes, or Uber, back out, go back home. So this is kind of the concept that we are trying to do to work on so that we can kind of incorporate all the different modes into the system. Next slide, please. So this is really just a graphical depiction of some of this mobility hub, and it connects all the express lane and it connects all the important business centers that we have. And you can have Starbucks coffee in this mobility hubs. You can have restaurants in there. You can have some shops in there also. So it's like a public-private working together to try and get this done. So next slide, please. So this actually is a video. If you can click on the arrow, we'll see if the video works. But if it doesn't, it's really just a video that shows the concept of the real program. And it is on our TxDOT website. If you look for the real, you can go in there and click and see the video. And the video is pretty neat. So if you have time, you can go ahead and look at that.
Okay.
Let me introduce Reddy. He's the Executive Vice President of the Planning, Engineering, and Construction. And he has over 25 years of experience, and he's a registered professional engineer, and he's working on all these infrastructure projects. So, Shri, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Fred. So when I came in, Fred asked me if I had trouble getting here, and I said, absolutely not. I got on the red line, and I planned this thing 20 years ago. I worked on the red line. And then 6 months ago or 9 months ago, I planned that I'm not going to pay a fare because I'm a Metro employee. So this has really worked out really good. This is like the best conference location for me. I can work most
That
of
was
the day.
my first dumb question. Hold on.
No, but this is great segue for me. So, and Eliza, I mean, made a lot of good points. Can we pull up the presentation? I just wanted to talk to you about upcoming projects, what we're working on. Can we have the slide deck, please?
The Metro.
So while they're pulling up the presentation, I just wanted to basically mention one thing today. Chair Packman, the chair of the Metro board, she stepped down, and the new board chair, board member Ram took over. And one of the things I wanted to basically say is, for the Metro Next program, to be what it is today, a number of things that had to happen several years in the past. I think the board and the executive team and Metro staff held over 1,000 meetings in the community. People ask, what is it that you want in terms of transportation? And they listened, they worked with the community and came up with a plan. So next slide, please. And that's what resulted in the Metro Next moving forward plan. The plan is to basically come up with projects, and I'll speak to that in a little bit, over the next 20 years. And we've got bonding capacity to help us with the finances if we need to go that route. The focus really is to improve mobility and connectivity, like Eliza said, and also improve existing service, not just new build, but take the existing bus routes and make them better, right, through traffic and signal priority, and also do very simple things at a very low level, which is at the customer level. When you walk up to a bus stop, you want it accessible, you want it basically clean, you want it safe, and then you want new shelters. So we're working on all of those things right now. Next slide, please. This is a graphic of all the projects. I can't see all the colors. Can you go back one slide, please? Thank you. So I'll give you just the highlights of this. There are 5 different categories of projects. The very first one is the one you recognize, HOV lanes, one-way, two-way conversions, right, along the freeways. TxDOT is a great partner of ours, working with Eliza on those. Her success will feed our success on that type of project. And then there's BRT. We've got two big projects I want to talk about that are in the planning phases on Inner Katy and University. And there are plans to expand that to Gulfton and some of the other routes. And then there's the Boost program, which I talked about earlier. Boost is really nothing but enhancing existing routes. You know, we've got basically, say for example, West Hammer 82. Run times of those, we want to improve those by optimizing the bus stops, putting in far side, doing TST, improving connectivity, bringing sidewalk connectivity from the neighborhoods into those particular bus stops. So those are the 2 or 3 different types of projects. There are several others, community connectors we're working on. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of the University Corridor. This is the flagship project within MetroNext. It's in the planning stages. It's into project development right now. We're working very actively on 2 fronts. One, we've got virtual public meetings, and also on the other front, we're working with the city to figure out how to better use the typical section. How do we optimize and move more people? Because we're all in the same business of moving people. You know, TxDOT, HECTRA, Metro, City, everybody's thinking about how do we safely move people through the streets and the freeways. And so this job basically is the big milestone that we're working towards is to try to get this into the federal funding pipeline at the end of next year. So you should be seeing some movement in terms of final design and construction in the next 2 to 3 years. In terms of scope, there are about 40 plus stations planned, a bus operating facility, and then in terms of when you'll see actual work there once the job's funded, we think we might be able to put some early packages up in 2023. Next slide, please. The Inner Katy project, Eliza mentioned Inner Katy corridor. I'd say the corridor because there are a lot of needs in the corridor, and they're all very urgent. And so we're working on progressing a BRT component that takes a regional express between the Northwest Transit Center and downtown, as well as a new BRT service with 2 or 3 stations between those 2 points. So we're working closely with Eliza to see how we can, in different phases, to work on the Inner Katy corridor together. So that she's been a great partner on that. Next slide, please. I just wanted to put out a little bit of update. Everybody's talking about electric vehicles. The infrastructure bill has provisions for that. So Metro is embarking on a pilot program. We're very close to signing a contract with the provider to provide 20 buses. And they're going to be basically by the end of this year or early next year running on 2 high-frequency routes. So we're making plans to change the infrastructure, the power infrastructure to charge them at our existing bus operating facilities. So this is going to be a foray into electric buses. We're also planning ahead through a climate action plan to see how we could go to low emission or no emission buses by 2030. Next slide, please. A little more traditional type of project. This is West Belfort. You know, several years ago, people were parking on ditches and this was like over capacity. So we're building a 3,000 space garage there at West Belfort. Next slide, please. This project is at the Northline Transit Center at the end of the red line. It's a 500 space garage, and it's similar to West Belfort, it's just that the capacity is less. Next slide, please. This is a maintenance away facility on the north side of town. This is going to help us basically be centrally located and serve all our rail needs. We have several facilities that are further out in town, and so this should be coming online in a couple of years in terms of construction. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of the Boost network. I mean, there are 17 lines we want to really work on, several of them hopefully every year in terms of design and construction. West Hammer 82 is under design right now. We got basically 54 start and 56 airline, 2 really major routes going into civil construction in the next couple of months. And the graphics kind of maybe too small to see, but essentially these type of small projects bring connectivity into the focus. So essentially we're looking at how we get pedestrians safely to the bus stops, How do we basically get bikes to the bus stops? How do we make bus stops accessible? And how do we landscape around it and make it sustainable? So a lot of little things. It's a low impact project, but I think in terms of cost, but in terms of customer satisfaction, it's pretty high. Next slide, please. And this is just, I think I already covered this, we've got 3 boost corridors in progress, and hopefully in the next 10 years, we'll do many more. Next slide, please. This is a link to our procurement website. There are a number of different opportunities. We're big on small business participation. If you're not registered as a constructor or a supplier or a designer, just go ahead and go onto that site and register yourself. You can see all the upcoming opportunities. The board is very particular that we are very transparent about what's coming out. So everybody has an opportunity to actually go in and put an RFQ or a bid. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much. We're going to take questions in a little while. I'm going to introduce Mr. Anil Mirmira. He's the Deputy Director, been at Hexra for almost 20 years. So he's managing the electronic tolling ranges, which has a lot of activity. He's got a very exciting project right now. Let me introduce him. Go ahead.
Thank you, Fred. And continuing the conversation that Eliza and Shri started, we are also in the business of connecting people, right? The one thing that happened to Hectra, like most of the world, is the pandemic when it struck and impacted, it not only impacted the traffic, it also impacted a lot of toll collectors. I'm pretty sure some of you have been around in Houston for a long time, and the first question that came to mind is, hey, what are we going to do with these group of people who potentially could have been super spreaders? But Hectra adapted. We gave them meaningful jobs, and what you see right now is a facility, mostly San Houston, where there is no toll cash collection going on. And the premise of my discussion here, my talk here, is we are moving from collecting change to embracing change. As we move along at Hectra, you will see a new and improved vision for Hectra. And if I can go to the next slide, please. Late last year, the Harris County Commissioners Code approved a new vision statement under Director Trevino. And what it forced the staff and our consultants is to look above and beyond what we have traditionally looked, which is moving cars. So as part of the mission statement, we came out with some guiding principles that will be used for Hectra in any foreseeable project. And these are the guiding principles and values that we have heard from the diverse Harris County citizens. And they are effectively safety. I mean, everyone talked here about safety. The other key aspect for a toll road is reliability. You don't want to go from point A to point B and pay money and not be there at the time you want to be. It's a key thing that we hear every day. The other elements we started adding was resiliency and sustainability. This goes back to my conversation about toll collectors. People started thinking about what their roles would be years before the transition happened. Same thing with the current infrastructure at the toll road. What are the elements that we can add? That way the system is resilient and sustainable for the foreseeable future. In my next slide, I'll tell you what and why they are so critical to the success of the agency. The couple of other innovative ideas that Director Trevino encourages our team is to be innovative, not just do what other agencies have done, other toll roads have done, but be best in class. The thing that was missing, and as you probably heard at the court, is equity. So we've been just thinking about moving cars. And some people ask me, hey, how does it impact? What people miss is, I'm pretty sure a bunch of you here have easy tags, but we do have a lot of people in the rich, diverse county that we have are still cash preferred, unbanked and underbanked. So this project that I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit, the premise and the goal of this project is not to disenfranchise them. They are still our customers. They are still the citizens. They live here, they work here. So the goal of, one of the most significant goal that you would hear coming from me or from Director Trevino in the coming months, or even from the commissioners in coming months, is how do we engage them to be part of this project? And obviously, as a public agency, as a revenue-making public agency, stewardship and accountability of every dime we collect and every dime we spend is absolutely critical for the success of any program. So, just next slide, please. Just to give you guys a high-level perspective, I know most of you guys know us. One key thing on this slide, which kind of for this group here, our projected revenue for 2022, it's still unaudited, is about $812 million. And what does it mean for people in this room? What it means is our traffic numbers not only have rebounded, they are growing to way past the 2020 pandemic and even beating our projections. And in simple terms, and that's how I'll look at it, this is about 2.1 million transactions a day that we see on the system. We have a 750 mile, actually lane mile system that traverses the entire Harris County, east, west, north, south, and we have saturated the market with about 4.5 million tags. But the key point here again is there is an additional 3-4 million people that don't have tags that use our system and that have to go from point A to point B to work. The other kind of benefits, the toll road, if you've driven on the toll road, you do realize a lot of enforcement that goes on. There is a huge impetus to safety. We take pride in clearing up our accidents. We take pride in, if you're stranded, we change flats for free. We even supply a few gallons of gas so that you guys can get out safely and don't cause additional accidents. The premise of the slide for me, for you all to think, is this $800 million that we talk about gets invested back in Harris County. And I think that's what makes us different or unique, is statute requires us to invest it in Harris County. So the people that drive our toll roads, that live and work in our neighborhoods, are the ones that are funding our program. So it makes it even more critical for us to be accountable for every dollar that we spend and every group we serve, right? Next slide, please. So one thing I want you guys to take away from this map is Harris County Commissioner Scott in the budget hearing earlier this month, we presented a strategic capital improvement program close to a little over $4 billion for the next 4 years. And one of the signature projects that I want to talk about, and I'll not bore you with slides anymore, is the all-electronic conversion. And people ask me, I have talked to a lot of people, and they say, what does it actually mean? In simple terms, what it means to me is improving the quality of life for people that live, work around Harris County. And how are we going to achieve it, is the question. The easy part of the whole project is the plaza and ramp conversions, where you take out the barriers in the roadway and make it safe and convenient for the people driving. The most difficult part of the project is getting those cash customers a safe place and various places to pay, be it convenience stores, be it wherever else, to pay and still be on our system and use the benefits of the facility they help create. Just give you a very brief update on the AEP program, as we call it. We will be coming, we're working with the Commissioner Scott as well as our Executive Director to unveil a vision in the next few days that would kind of lay out what the details of this program are, what procurement opportunities will be available for engineers, contractors, technology firms, so on and so forth. It is a holistic program that will embark, among other things. I know there is other major initiatives happening at the toll road. This would be one of those signature projects. And the difference, I keep talking about change, we keep talking about change. The difference for us, next slide please. What we plan to do in any project going on is focus groups. What you see here is just a high-level slide of the focus groups that we have started to even ask the simple questions. What signs do you like to see on the road? What makes sense for you? And it's a unique proposition for the engineers in the room. And the reason being is this is a diverse county, and I keep saying it's a diverse county. I know when you talk to the city folks, you talk to TxDOT folks, they tell you the international population in Houston, right? A simple thing as no cash means different to different people. And that to us is going back to my initial statement, is that to us is safety. People don't understand those signs, people stop to read those signs. That is the premise of this project, is obviously congestion and safety, but move people from point A to point B.
So we have a little time to take a few questions. Does anybody have any questions in the audience?
I have a comment. You may consider using emojis. Everybody understand emojis.
We are looking at pictographs. The MUTCD, we have to follow the MUTCD, so we will be using a lot of pictographs.
Do you have another question? If not, I want to thank them. I know they're very busy, and for them to come do that for us, it's, oh, there's a question back there, Ken, real quick, one more question.
Yes, the toll road capital improvement projects, I don't think it is posted on our website yet, but it is posted on the Harris County website under Office of Budget Management.
And the Metro Next moving forward plan, is that on your website?
Yes, sir, it is, and if you need further details, you can definitely email us. If you go to the Metro website, I do monthly updates to the capital committee and the board. Everything's on the video, so for every project, you'll see exactly where that particular project is. And hence, when the opportunities come up, there are anticipated procurement lists that are also posted.
Thank you.
Time for one more question.
You see the schedule impacts, Sheree?
Schedule impacts?
Yeah, major changes to any of the programs?
Actually, we did a lot of work on, for example, University Corridor. I mean, a tremendous amount of planning, and we entered into project development, very quickly. And a lot of people don't realize a tremendous amount of work was done in the past already, and it lasted like over 1,000 meetings, and I wasn't part of it, and I was on the private side, and I was watching that happen. So I think all that is paying off right now. We'll still obviously listen to the committee. We're going to do a lot of public meetings. We'll listen to what the public tells us, and then we'll address that in the regular planning process. So in terms of change, yes, change is constant. I think you can expect that on any project, but how we react to that, I think we've done that really well in the past. I'm trying to build a very diverse team. There are some constructors we've hired also as part of the team here in terms of project management and program management, some designers, some planners, so we can attack all of these issues together, right? And in terms of keeping schedule, we're very aggressive. I'm very aggressive about it. We don't have a very aggressive way to approach it. I feel like we're going to fall short, so I'm really pushing to make sure the bigger projects get out of the planning phase by the end of next year.
Super, thank you.
Hey Fred, one last quick
Yes,
one.
sir.
Sri, On some of the projects locally, in the last phase of construction, we did a lot to have small business facilitation in the communities so they wouldn't have disruption. Are we planning to do that on University and others?
Absolutely, sir. It's standard practice. In fact, we're starting very early. One of the things we're doing is reaching out and making sure the list of all stakeholders is shared not only with the planning team, but the design and the construction team. So we're really consuming that information at the moment and planning ahead in terms of traffic mitigation and letting everybody in the teams kind of see what's coming up. So that'll be an important activity moving forward.
Great, thank you.
We'd like to congratulate Sanjay. I didn't even know Sanjay walked in the back. Sanjay, stand up so they see you.
Our new chair.
He's our new chair. Would you stand up, Sanjay?